Well, the Supreme Court has admitted today for the first time that they need a permanent mechanism to address sexual harassment complaints, asking senior lawyers Fali Nariman and KK Venugopal for suggestions on how to do so. The Apex Court was hearing a petition filed by a former law intern who has accused former Supreme Court Judge Swatantra Kumar of harassment, charges that he has strongly denied. But the Chief Justice did today question why the young woman waited so long to file a complaint. Well, the question today that we're asking is whether an important step has been taken today by the Supreme Court in acknowledging that there is a problem and acknowledging that there is the need for a mechanism to be established. Indira Jai Singh, Additional Solicitor General, someone who's been very actively involved in this case and previous cases, joins us tonight. Senior lawyer KTS Tulsi here in the studio with us. Kiran Bedi continues to be with us tonight. Ms. Jai Singh, explain to us, would you see this as a positive development? The same Supreme Court which in December said that it would not entertain complaints against retired judges is today saying, well, we probably do need to look at a mechanism to address these problems. Let's find out what that can be.
Nidhi, I not only look upon it as a positive step, indeed I consider it a revolutionary step. It is for the first time in recorded Indian legal history that judges are willing to look at their own conduct through some kind of in-house mechanism. And as I see it, it's willingness on the part of the judges to be accountable to the people of this country when it comes to issues of gender justice. So yes, not just positive, I think revolutionary.
Let me take that to Mr. Tulsi, sir. Would you welcome this as well today as an important step?
Yeah, I think it's a very important step, and it will do a lot. It will go a long way in stemming the rot. And we as lawyers of this court are very concerned about the moral authority of the court being preserved and protected. And for that purpose, there needs to be a mechanism. If the Supreme Court says that every public organization, public or private, must have the mechanism put in place and suggested certain guidelines on the basis of which these standing committees will be there to look into every allegation, there is no reason why the Supreme Court should not have it. And in fact, the Supreme Court ought to have had this mechanism before, but perhaps it was never imagined that such allegations will have to be confronted one day. And so, as soon as this happened, the Chief Justice and I am sure the other judges are equally concerned, and a mechanism is now sought to be put in place to assure. But of course, one question remains, that even the judges are entitled to a fair trial. And even the judges are entitled to the constitutional protection of the presumption of innocence, as well as the right of silence. We can't jump to the conclusion. I guess the media must also introspect about the manner in which these complaints are being handled, and not to jump to the conclusion as if the persons accused are guilty. There is a process. And
do you believe these have been media trials? Because what has the media done? It's reporting the facts of the story. Why is that a media trial?
No, media has sought to demonize people. The tirade that has been launched by a section of the media was as if the person is guilty. And that kind of a reversal of the presumption of innocence, which is constitutionally most sacred part of our constitution, is going to have very serious consequences. You know, the Supreme Court and the entire judiciary is so vital to a vibrant democracy in this country. And of course, these are aberrations, they must be dealt with, there must be completely a mechanism, but let there not be an erosion of the moral authority of the court, and that's exactly what the Chief Justice has done.
One second, Indira Jai Singh, is that moral authority of the court being undermined by us in the media who are reporting the story as it is, or by those judges who are allegedly, conducting themselves in this way? I think that's a question we have to ask. Who is undermining the
alleged
model?
to be conducting
Yeah.
Alleged, I said the word alleged.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, Nidhi. First of all, let me say that if anything, women have a huge vested interest in the preservation of the judiciary. They have nowhere else to go. They have no other redressal mechanism except the judiciary itself in relation to all its problems, be it rape, be it sexual harassment. Where do we go? We go to court. So we have a vested interest in the continuation of a court. I feel that an institution which can cleanse itself, I see this as a cleansing process. You know, the country as a whole is witnessing a cleansing process in institutions of governance. And the Supreme Court has championed this cleansing process in many of its judgments. What we are saying is that it's now time for the judiciary to clean up its own act. And if there are allegations of sexual harassment against certain judges, first of all, Nidhi, I'm pained that I have to be sitting here today and saying that there are allegations of sexual harassment by judges of interns. Remember, these are men who are sitting in judgment over ordinary people like you and me. They occupy a high moral, ethical position. They have been entrusted with the divine function of justice. What is the kind of behavior we expect from them? Did we know that we would see the day when an intern would have to say that she is sexually harassed by a judge? The second point is there was no mechanism where they could take their grievances. This is where I think the media has a big role to play. Look, the media is part of the democratic institutions of this country, and it is meant to facilitate our freedom of speech and expression. There is no criminal complaint here, so there's no question of presumption of innocence being denied. And remember, it is only after
it's an allegation
the
of a
Supreme
criminal
Court
offense.
declined to, please Nidhi, I don't want interruptions. It is only after the Supreme Court declined to entertain a complaint by a 25-year-old woman against a 65-year-old man. That is when she had no other option but to go to the media. Did you please ask, did she ever speak to the media? Has she spoken to the media till today? Who is the person speaking to media? Nidhi, the Supreme Court is my workplace, and I am operating in a hostile working environment. It is my duty to raise concerns of sexual harassment of young interns. I have never said that what the intern is saying is the truth. I'm not here to sit in judgment over the truth or falsity of the allegations. I have only said that her allegations should be investigated looked into by the Supreme Court. Only when the court declined that complaint did she or I open my mouth and speak to the media. I have a right to speak to the media. I don't consider this a media trial.
Okay, so you're very passionate and strong in what you're saying. And Kiran Bedi, since you've been with us from the day we've been talking about Nirbhaya to now, it's actually quite remarkable that we are able to have this debate tonight about the higher judiciary and about Supreme Court judges as well. To me, I see that as constructive, that we're finally in this country able to talk about these issues openly, which is also very important, isn't it?
This is exactly what's happened the last few years. The last recent few years, actually people have started to dare to speak. And judiciary has been one of our most protected and even respected institutions. It was respected also as a last resort. It enjoyed a lot of trust, but it's been eroding over a period. And that's a fact of life. Do you remember when we were in the agitation mode, we were asking for judicial accountability bill?
Yes.
We wanted judiciary to come under Lokpal, and there was a huge divide to say, no, don't touch it. But judicial accountability bill was about misdemeanors of the judiciary itself. And it was all brother judges, and we were agitating brother judges judging a judge. The fact is, you just don't, the perception, there is huge public perception, not only of these incidents which women have started to dare to speak after Nirbhaya's case. Remember, there are issues of even integrity issues. Where do you go? If you have an integrity issue concerning judiciary, where do you go today? For ordinary civilian, does it go back to judiciary? I think the judiciary needs mechanisms not only against sexual harassment, even misdemeanor of the judges within. so that it doesn't again boil out in another form tomorrow.
But do you agree with what Mr. Tulsi says about a media trial? As Indira Jaising says, the young woman had actually petitioned the Chief Justice and said, look, please hear my complaint. At that time, the court decided in its wisdom in December that no, we are not going to entertain complaints against retired judges. That is when Ms. Jaising has come forward and talked about this case openly. And what makes this case disturbing is that the judge is alleged to have done this at a time when he was a sitting judge. Do you believe, though, that, you know, in the times that we live in, if you make an allegation, it is quickly, in a sense, reported by the media. There is a danger of tarnishing a reputation if it doesn't turn out to be correct.
Absolutely.
How do you deal with that problem?
You see, wherever you've not had a mechanism, wherever you haven't had a mechanism of redressal, then what is the other choice left?
You know, one of the things which the Supreme Court said
about
Kiran's case, about her case, in her case, the Supreme Court said, your reputation is more valuable than life. If you tarnish somebody's reputation, despite the acquittal, the stigma will never wash. So therefore, even the media must be careful.
Wherever you don't have, wherever you don't have a mechanism, you are giving an opportunity to somebody else to find another route. So when you create a mechanism, and I would still urge the judiciary, with my folded hands, if I may complete, don't only create a mechanism now for against sexual harassment, create something even for integrity and misbehavior, which the pending judicial accountability bill is factoring in. So I would say bring in that bill now.
No, absolutely, because the whole argument has been, Indira Jaising, that here's a Supreme Court that gave that landmark Vishakha ruling and then for years didn't have a mechanism to deal with it itself, and now finds itself in this position. Yes, Ms. Jaising.
Look, Nidhi, first of all, I would like to congratulate the Supreme Court. Yes, the mechanism should have come much earlier. But I do wish to congratulate the Supreme Court for the step that it has taken today. I think acknowledgement in and of itself is a very important issue. And the petition not only asks for looking into the conduct of sitting judges, but also retired judges. But Nidhi, just to come back to the point that Mr. Tulsi was making about reputation being very valuable. Look, the judge in question has gone to the Delhi High Court to vindicate his reputation, to vindicate his honor and his dignity. Now, let me tell you what the law is. The law is that if a statement of truth is made and published, and if it is in public interest to publish that statement, then no injunction can be granted preventing anybody from publishing that statement. So, Nidhi, the critical question is what the intern saying true? Is she standing by her statement? Yeah. Is it in public interest? I would like to say, Nidhi, that it is very much in public interest that what a judge does and what a judge does not do is disclosed, is published. Now, if she, I, or anyone else has been guilty of defaming the judge, we will face the consequences. We are not afraid of running away from consequences. But if the girl gets up and says, this is all true, then I think it is in public interest that all this is actually put in the public domain. That's the law. I think Mr. Tulsi should know that in these circumstances, no injunctions can be granted.